On this side, you have Clay Travis, who continues to do his internet shows where he's like, look, you got to look at deaths, not positive COVID tests, which I do agree with. Okay. In general principle, I think yesterday the lowest number of deaths in a couple months, whatever, like that seems to be trending the right way. On the other hand, there are a lot of concerned areas of the country as we have had recent spikes in positive COVID tests. And look, I'm not an idiot, so please don't try and act like I'm an idiot or any of these people putting out these stats are idiots. I understand that more testing will be more positive tests, but testing has been readily available for about a month now, and we're seeing not a leveling off or a dropping, we're seeing a spike of positive results. I don't know if they're asymptomatic or symptomatic. I don't know about hospitalizations. It does seem, though, that to any people like Clay Travis, who I'm going to point out is a friend of mine as well as a colleague. And just so you know, you can be friends with somebody who you vehemently disagree with, who you slightly disagree with, or some of you agree with. I don't want to have all friends where I go like, you know what I think? I think Tom Brady's the greatest. I think that too. Me too. Me too. Me too. Okay. You know what I think? I think Michael Jordan's the greatest. Me too. Me too. Me too. Like, what is that? If that's who you want to surround yourself with, good for you. Okay? That's called an echo chamber. That's what LeBron James has on the shop. You know what I think? Yep, you're right. Like, that's not actually barbershop conversation is kind of like what they make fun of in Coming to America. Rocky Marciano was, Joe Louis kicked his ass, right? Remember that? Anyway. So, look, I like Clay. He's what they call them Corona bros, right? People who are like deniers of this sort of thing. I'll only point this out. Texas was one of the first states to open back up, right? And the numbers are so concerning that their governor, who has been an outspoken critic of the quarantine, who had previously said they would allow fans at professional and collegiate sporting events right now in Texas. I believe it's Governor Abbott. Today said, look, we're not going to go to phase 3 just yet because we don't like the numbers we're seeing. So you have Texas that always says, we're doing our own thing, saying, oh, we may have opened this thing up a little bit too quickly. Which, by the way, is where I sit. Okay? I'm not panicked walking around in a hazmat suit.
Welcome to the GOTTLIEB show.
Okay, not. I wash my hands. I wear a mask outside. I've never really understood anti-mask person. Anti-mask person reminds me of my childhood. We used to, and Ramos is old enough. I don't know if you guys are old enough for this one. We used to not have a seatbelt law. Right? Most of my childhood, you'd stop short, and my dad would stick his arm out. Like that was going to stop you from going through the windshield. And among the ridiculous claims, in addition to, hurting somebody's freedom, you would have people go before state legislatures and Congress go, well, what happens if your car gets submerged? It's really hard to get your seatbelt off. Well, on the infinitesimal percentage of time that your car gets submerged, it should be pointed out that as you flew off the bridge like Dukes of Hazzard, if you didn't have your seatbelt on, you'd probably either go through or hit the windshield and be unconscious anyway, so it wouldn't actually matter. But that was the defense, which you now look at and you're like, really? You didn't have to wear a seatbelt? That's the stupidest thing ever. Which is kind of how all of us look at those of you who are like, I will not wear a mask in public or a grocery store. Yeah. I think Jerry Seinfeld said it best. The funny thing about the helmet law is it's protecting a brain that's operating so poorly it doesn't know it needs to be protected, right? That's the mask rule. So I don't care I don't care what side of this you sit on. I really don't. I'm not super panicked, but I do wonder if my kids are going to be able to go back to actual learning in person in August in California. I was optimistic, now cautiously pessimistic. I don't know. But I can tell you this, that if you are waiting on a vaccine for COVID-19 to go back to work, you are not going back to work in 2020, which is exactly what I think Malcolm Jenkins, who re-signed with the New Orleans Saints and, of course, blasted Drew Brees going back a couple weeks ago, said going back to yesterday.
The NBA is a lot different than the NFL because they can actually quarantine all of their players or whoever is going to participate, where we have over 2,000 players, even more coaches and staff. We can't do that. And so we'll end up being kind of on this trust system where the honor system where we just have to hope that guys are social distancing and things like that. And that puts all of us at risk, not only, us as players and who's in the building, but when you go home to your families. I have parents that I don't want to get sick. And I think until we get to the point where we have protocols in place and until we get to a place as a country where we feel safe doing it, we have to understand that football is a non-essential business. And so we don't need to do it. And so the risk, has to be really eliminated before I would feel comfortable with going back.
Okay, so if the risk has to be eliminated, you just said, I'm not playing football. And calling your sport a non-essential business, like in reality, he's right, it's entertainment. But Malcolm Jenkins doesn't seem to understand any of this. Any of it. And look, it's okay. It's really, really hard to know, like, wait, are we getting better? Are we getting worse? There's so many different, right? I'm not a Mensa member. Right? I know my level of intelligence is at least above average, or at least it was when I was a kid, when it was scored. I don't know. I don't know if all the smog in Los Angeles or I've been dumbed down based upon TV and my habits and whatever. I don't know, but I think of myself as having above average intelligence. I try and absorb all the different types of media. I have zero real feel for what's taking place, where it's trending. Are we good? Are we bad? But if you think that Texas slowing down their roll of opening up that's throwing caution, that's being cautious. But I do know this one thing. If you want risk eliminated, that's a vaccine. That means you're not going to play football this year. He said several things which are just wrong. Well, we have 2,000 players. You don't have 2,000 players on an individual NFL team. Okay, you have a 90-man roster that gets cut down to a 53-man roster. Okay, that's what you have. And you actually have more control over things because, well, you can wear gloves when you play football, and you wear a helmet. You can wear a mask underneath that helmet. Like, there's actually more. You can have protocols in place. Yeah, going home to see your parents or your grandparents, that's going to be problematic. But guess what? It'd be problematic even if you're out in the real world, let alone playing football. So I'm not saying that his concerns aren't real. Right? And Malcolm Jenkins is not an idiot. He's like the rest of us. Like, I don't know what to believe. But, Malcolm, if you're telling us you're not playing unless the risk has been eliminated, that means you're not playing until there's a vaccine. There's not going to be a vaccine this calendar year. It's very, 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 very unlikely. Because even if they get the vaccine, it has to go through there's so much it has to go through before they just start injecting it in people. Right? Yeah, sure, I'll be the first run. No, right? You start twitching. I don't know what the side effects are, but you just don't say that unless you mean it. And if you mean it, we got to get a replacement. And is football an essential business? Probably not. But, what is an essential business, right? Like Starbucks got to stay open. Is that an essential business? Hell yeah, I need my coffee. That was actually the voice of my wife when she doesn't get her coffee. It's not an essential business. Like, come on, dude. We fudged the essential business thing for a long time. Everybody makes lots of money, and it makes people much happier. And, it affects the gambling industry. It affects TV, radio, print, all the players, all the staff, all the stadium workers. And that's even, we don't even know if you have fans in the stands, you got parking, you got restaurants, you got all affected by football. Is it essential? In dictionary definition, no. But is it super important to the economy? Hell yeah. We got to get that thing up and going. It is vital. Sports is a vital cog in the engine of the American economy. If you're a denier of that, you're not paying attention. A vital cog. Because I could go through 15 different types of businesses which are directly affected by if they play or don't play football, right? Especially with fans in the stands. It's not just all of those vendors. The food that all those vendors sell, right? Where is that food produced? In the United States. The security, right? Parking, restaurants, right? The municipality. We're going to have all of these different protocols for schools and other events. It's going to be really expensive for your city to put on any sort of events and to protect you, et cetera, et cetera. Plus, look, with all the protests, you're having cops on overtime. Whether you want more police or less police or smart, all this, everything costs more money. Where do you think they get the money? And by the way, the good cops and some of the bad cops, they can't get overtime. They do so by working security at some of these events. Like shoe companies, apparel companies, television, digital media, right? All of your brands that you represent as an athlete, all affected by football. Is it essential? What is essential? You give me the definition of essential, and I would say, while it doesn't fit the dictionary definition of can our country function without it, no, but it is essential to the economy of all of these major cities that professional sports, especially, and collegiate sports are played. If you're a denier of that, you don't understand how vital a cog it is to the economy, to the engine of the economy. And if you say I'm not playing until I'm completely safe, you're not playing until you have a vaccine, and that means you're not playing in 2020.